Today I'm going to be answering the question, can a landlord evict you for being late on rent? Welcome back. My name's Mike Slane, the discount property investor. Today I'm going to be answering the question, can a landlord evict you for being late on rent? So the question really is a little bit more in depth than I was initially reading. I was thinking, can a landlord evict you for not paying rent? And obviously, landlord would evict you for not paying rent. But the question is, can a landlord evict you for being late on rent? And that's kind of an interesting question because the short answer is yes. If you do not pay your rent on time, you could be evicted. Most likely, they're not going to evict you if you're 5-10 days late. They're going to assess you some sort of penalty for late payments, something along those lines, but probably not going to full on evict you for being late. Each state is a little bit different. So this is something else I want you to keep in mind. I like to go to nolo.com. It's a great website with some state specific information. So I live in St. Louis, Missouri. Most of my portfolio is here. And we have pretty landlord favorable tenant law, and that is helpful in situations like this. So getting back to this question of whether or not you can be evicted for being late on rent, what would happen? Okay, so day one, we actually used to encourage our property manager to file the day that the rent was late. We'd say, hey, if you don't get your rent in, we're gonna have to file. Why would we do that? Why would we go to the court and file for eviction day one? Because we want our tenants to know that this is a business relationship and we're very serious about them paying rent on time. Because again, we need that rent. We have mortgages on all of our properties, and it's how we earn a living and pay all our bills for those rental properties, and how we acquire more and keep the lights on here at our office and pay our employees. So again, it's very important that we receive the rent on time. If we don't, we want them to file very, very quickly so that we can get someone in there who's going to pay rent. It also, again, it's the principle of it. If you give someone an inch, they'll take an inch. They'll take a little bit longer the next time. So it's living up to the letter of the lease, and it always comes back to the lease, and that's what is important. So what is most likely is if you're a couple days late, you're probably going to be assessed with a late charge. So that is the most common thing, but you could be evicted. And here's the process I want to go through. So day one, if someone files or they file for eviction in the court, they also are going to have to send you a demand letter saying, hey, you're late on rent. You need to pay your rent. And if you don't pay it, then again, they can file this eviction in the court. And once it gets on the docket, then you've got the ability to take your case to the judge. And if you show up, it would be more difficult to evict you for being a few days late. So again, the judge is going to ask, hey, Mr. Landlord, hey, tenant, what's going on here? And if you say, oh, I've got the money, you'll be able to pay, you won't be evicted at that point. Now, if you don't show up, the judge is almost certainly going to rule in the landlord's favor, and you're going to be evicted. They're going to get the eviction notice. So you could be evicted for paying a couple days late. So, I mean, the truth of the matter is, yes, you absolutely could. Just kind of depends on the circumstances. What usually happens is both people show up, and then something's either worked out, or if you are the tenant and you don't have the money, the judge will normally grant you a few extra days because you'll plead your case. Hey, I'm a little behind. I just need a couple more days. And that's the most often thing that happens. So it gets pushed out, and they do another court proceeding, 2 weeks later, another trial date rather. And again, if you haven't paid by that point, then yes, you would be evicted. So the long answer is you could be evicted, but it would take a while. And even in the most landlord-friendly states, like I would consider Missouri pretty landlord-friendly, even in the best of times, it still takes us as landlords about a month. And that is if we are aggressive in processing those evictions and enforcing, rent due on a certain date. A month is going to be like the bare minimum amount of time that you probably would be able to be evicted legally going through the process of eviction, at least here in Missouri. So check your local laws. Again, I like the resource nolo.com. I find it helpful. Probably be some state-specific information in there for you as well. But yeah, you could get evicted for not paying your rent on time. If you're making a habit of it, I mean, just try to pay it on time. And if you're worried about it, the landlord has it out for you. Maybe it's not a good situation. Maybe you need to get out anyways. Speaking to the tenants there, and landlords, if someone's consistently 5 days late, maybe edit the lease and make their rent due on that day instead of trying to penalize them for the late fees or whatever. Again, my personal opinion, let's try to work with people. We're all people. Try to figure things out, and yeah, go from there, guys. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Mike Slane, the Discount Property Investor. If you'd like to learn more about how we built a portfolio right now of 86 doors with little to none of our own money, please check out this channel, like, share, subscribe, and check out some more of my content on the BRRRR method.